There's been talks about Miro coming back to AEW programming sometime soon, but we have some conflicting reports on this as well. Fightful Select saying that there was nothing creative for Miro in his return to AEW. However, Dave Meltzer is saying that's not entirely true. Miro has been given ideas. He just shot them all down, and they're in talks of some form of creative for his return. So, Ralph, I'm not going to ask you whether or not you believe Fightful or Dave Meltzer. I just want to see if you have any ideas to get Miro back on television.
Well, I'm going to assume he's going to come back as a heel. I guess he probably performs better at that.
Yep.
Samoa Joe is already operating as a heel. He's the TNT champion. I think when you think of Miro, the thing that kind of defined his run in AEW so far has been him as the Redeemer. I mean, there's so many different ways you can go with this. He's got to be put in there with somebody that has some sort of credibility. Mm-hmm. Now, that can be Wardlow, because, I think Wardlow's another guy who it's kind of like on a weekly basis, every other week basis, I think they could both kind of dive into a feud against each other. Honestly, wouldn't mind seeing him against somebody like Darby Allin, because Darby is the ultimate underdog. Their matches would be great. I mean, Darby could get thrown around. Well, we've had that already.
Darby and Miro already had a thing, and that's how Miro won the title. He beat Darby for it.
They could absolutely revisit it. You could put him up against like Ricky Starks. There's so many ways they could do it. Moxley, why not Moxley? So put him in there with somebody that has some sort of credibility.
Why don't you actually go through with the storyline that seemed like they were going to do, and that is Miro and the House of Black? Let's bring that to fruition. Let's figure out a way to get that storyline going, because you kind of have that heaven and hell dynamic where Miro is the Redeemer and fights for God or whatever. And I know he was kind of having his own feud with God before his TV hiatus, but you also have the House of Black that kind of is this satanic type of cult that they have. So why not do a program with Aleister Black and Miro in this clash of deities per se? You talk about the TNT title. That seems like we got this thing with Wardlow and Samoa Joe. Fine. Why not have Miro have a program with Orange Cassidy where he dethrones Orange Cassidy as the All-Atlantic Championship, and then he does a similar run with that he had with the TNT Championship with the All-Atlantic Championship? Orange Cassidy, give him credit where it's due. He's done a good job with the All-Atlantic Championship. And if he lost to Miro, it doesn't lose his stock whatsoever. And I think they would say he has had a decent reign with the All-Atlantic Championship, better than Pac and the first title reign with that title. And then maybe you go, all right, I beat Orange Cassidy. I squash a few people with the All-Atlantic Championship. And then have Pac go chase the title back. Even if they have nothing creative for Miro, just put him on TV and squash people. Why can't you just do that? I think today's wrestling is all about, we need to have these 20-minute matches that go through commercial breaks and make sure everything has this justified, this is awesome chant. No, let's just have matches go in between commercial breaks. It starts at the end of one break and it ends before the start of another commercial break. Why can't we do that anymore? Why? Then you're not getting this freaking fatigue, and maybe you might actually hold people for an entire show instead of this drastic layoff on both Raw or SmackDown or Dynamite or Rampage, where everything's got to go through a picture-in-picture. Everything's got to go through a commercial break. No. Have a guy like Miro beat someone in 5 minutes, and then that's it. Go to commercial, go to the next match or segment.
Yeah, and if they're going to do that and they truly intend to bring him back, I mean, a win over a credible name, like a 5-minute squash over a Darby, over a Jungle Boy, and I know those are like some of the darlings and the pillars of AEW, but that's how you bring him back and make a splash,
right?
Make a statement, and he can go and feud with some of the top tier guys because it's establishing his dominance.
Right.
Kenny Omega, what's he going to do after this? That's the 7th thing. Why not him?
Well, if they end up winning the trios titles, I'm sure they need to do something to defend those trios titles. Perhaps that's why they're building up House of Black to go and make that the first program for the Elite, winning the trios titles. I'd be down for that.